Welcome into another episode of Everything is Logistics, a podcast for the thinkers in freight. I am your host, Blythe, and we are proudly presented by SBI Logistics. And we've got another great interview for y'all today because we are live at Manifest, the future of supply chain and logistics. And we've got Gary Allen, VP of Supply Chain Excellence at Ryder. And we're going to be talking about just the tech ecosystem in general, because I was going to gear it around the asset tech blueprint, but we're really going to be talking about the entire supply chain tech blueprint. That's
fine. I don't know if it matters if you're an asset provider or not, but we'll get into it. But thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. And before we started recording, you had mentioned that you didn't think that it mattered if you have assets or not. Can you elaborate a little bit?
I mean, the topic of a 3PL software industry and what you select, what you look at, what business problem you're trying to solve for, it doesn't really matter if we own trucks or warehouses per se. What matters is what are you trying to solve for, right? Now, there is one connection of having a physical network of vehicles, warehouse, automation technology, that we have the data coming in and out of those technologies. So it's more of a data thing and what problem you're trying to solve for versus like the entire software landscape. I mean, it matters in the sense of, we have software that runs our trucks. We have software that runs our warehouses, a warehouse management system. In the trucks, we have in-cab technology, vehicle technology. So it doesn't make a big difference if you're a non-asset-based provider or you're an asset-based provider. What makes a difference is what are you trying to solve for, right? And if you own the assets, it is a different problem, right? What you're trying to solve for is making sure you get the throughput, you get the life of the assets, right? Like if automation now can last for 10 plus years, so software that helps enable that would be like automation uptime, like maintenance technology to make sure you're getting enough out of those assets.
Yeah, because I think for a lot of folks, myself included, naively assume that Ryder is, a trucking company, and that you just have assets, and you see the trucks driving down the road. But I was watching a couple podcasts this morning, and I think Ryder is the second largest warehouse provider in the United States. Did I heard that?
Yeah, well, in North America, not just U.S. We don't operate in other countries except North America, but we are the second largest warehouse provider. We have a little bit over 100 million square foot of warehouse space. So we do like our trucks. We love our trucks, right? It's us and Penske that have the most amount of trucks on the road. But on the warehouse side, we've been doing it for years. What I'd say, really in the last 8 years, we've pretty much doubled our size and capabilities through organic growth as well as a few acquisitions. We got into the e-commerce space, we acquired a company there. We got into food packaging, co-manufacturing, we got into public warehousing, we got into final mile, like we do washer and dryer delivery inside your house. So we really expanded our footprint and capability in addition to growing with our base customers as well. But we have a lot of warehouses. Now, we don't own all the warehouses. It's a combination of lease. We do own some of them, especially in our multi-client type solutions like e-commerce. If it's in the right city, at the right value point, we'll buy and do a build-to-suit. And then the automation side of it's just taken off the last 5 to 8 years, warehouse automation. We spend probably about 15 times more than we did about 8 years ago in warehouse automation, because the amount of providers, it kind of goes to your topic around software. It's not just limited to like execution system. There's software that runs machines. And it gets really complicated around what do I look for, right? And so that's a factor, criteria when you're looking at warehouse automation, is what's the software to run the machines and the equipment. But about 40% of our warehouses have some form of automation in it today, and that is growing. So,
what does, I guess, sort of the tech stack look like? Is it the same across all the different warehouses?
No.
Or?
Well, we try to keep it as consistent. If you talk to our CIO, he wants everything in one system. But the reality, because our business is, we serve so many different verticals and industries, sometimes our customers will bring the software. We prefer to bring the software ideally. But if you look at the warehouse management system as an example, we have about 30 different warehouse management systems across our network. Yeah, way too many. But part of what we do as a 3PL is we're flexible in our approach. So if the customer has an investment in Red Prairie, we're primarily a Manhattan scale shop on the warehouse management side of it. On the transportation management side of it, predominantly Blue Yonder. But if we look at the core execution software, our approach historically and still is we'll partner with, the proven providers out there. We're not going to rebuild that technology because they're so far advanced. But about 5 to 8 years ago, we made a decision strategically to say we're going to continue to partner with the best of the best of breed. But if there's software that's not in the industry that fills a certain problem we're trying to solve for, let's build it ourselves. So we started our own product development division. We acquired a company called Baton about 5 years ago.
Former guest on the show.
That's right. We also created a venture entity, kind of like a VC fund called Ryder Ventures, to research, look at the disruptive technology, figure out who we want to invest in with the hope that they're going to grow. And a lot of those investments are on the software side as well, in addition to the physical side of it. But it'd be a combination. Partner with the best providers out there on the software side of it. Build what makes sense, especially around data, because at the end of the day, we own the data. We or a customer might use, a certain execution system, but we own the data. And then we also, because we're in the 3PL industry, we own driving value every day. So my team, I run the engineering, automation, continuous improvement team. If we are not identifying savings and delivering value for Ryder and our customers, we're not going to be around long term. And so a lot of our software, either that we partner with or build, focuses on how do we drive improvements and how do we drive value in the industry as well.
What kind of improvements in value? What are some of maybe those KPIs that you're looking for in order to make that determination?
Yeah, I mean, it's service, it's delivering, on time, on budget, the product to our customers. It's quality, it's cost decisions, it's safety. But end of the day, the value really comes down to us doing it cheaper than our customers can do it. I mean, it's cheaper and faster and better is kind of the motto. But you always can get better. I think the thing that gets really complicated to this topic is there's so many different companies out there. There's so many different technologies.
It's overwhelming, the choices.
It's daunting. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of companies out there. On the warehouse automation side of it, we've looked at 400 companies in the last 3 years. Not only looked at them, we researched, we met with them, got pricing, looked at piloting, because to your point, it's really confusing around what companies are going to make it. And then most importantly, do they solve a key problem we're trying to focus on?
So how do you make that determination? If you're looking through 400 companies, how do you decide what the build versus buy mentality is going to be?
Yeah, it's not easy. I think it comes down to number one is you got to invest in the capabilities around the people side of it and process to help evaluate what's out there. Right? Like if you're not doing enough on research and development and testing and evaluating, it comes down to people that do that, right? So I have a team of R&D people, and that's more on the automation side of it. One of their main jobs is to test and evaluate everything that's out there. So we'll meet with the providers, we'll evaluate the capabilities. We'll do the modeling ourselves, meaning like, is there a business case behind picking one provider over the other? Meaning like, does the solution meet our requirements around throughput, capability, units per hour, to be able to determine what is the best technology out there to serve that purpose. So it comes down to the people in the R&D, number one. Number two, once you engage with the providers, is you got to do all the research behind them, meaning, are they going to be around 5-10 years from now, right? What level of R&D do they spend as a percent of revenue, right? Most technology companies spend about 15 to 30% of their revenues on R&D, meaning building out new capabilities, new features. So getting to know their product roadmap and not only knowing it, but trying to navigate and shift and really refocus their roadmap to meet our needs. But that comes down to investing in that company. Like, the Manhattan scale example, we've been working with them in Blue Yonder for decades, right? And they're pretty well established. And they are great providers, great suppliers, but it comes down to investing in them. And then, if we're investing in them, they're going to invest back in us and become a true partner.
So a true partnership in that sense.
It has to be. But to your point, there's thousands. of providers. And even at like this conference here at Manifest, you get a lot of startups, right? And a lot of the startups the last 5 to 10 years was more around automation, analytics, AI, more on like what I'll call kind of optimization, productivity related software than these brand new execution software providers, right? Because a WMS and TMS provider's been around forever, right? And then even visibility started up 10 or 15, 20 years ago. So those technologies are pretty mature, but it's the new technologies around warehouse automation, right? Like AI, obviously it's a hot topic, but the computer vision and the software around operating machines has changed dramatically in the last 5 years.
How so?
Dramatically. Meaning the amount of providers are out there. Well, number one, there's more machines, right? I mean, 10 years ago, we didn't have autonomous mobile robots, right? We didn't have autonomous forklifts. We didn't have humanoids, right? Now, humanoids are the next big thing, whether it's Tesla, Apptronic, and we are piloting and testing humanoids.
Oh, interesting.
But all those machines require software to drive the logic around what does that machine do? Does it go down? Does it pick a pallet? Does it pick a case? Does it pick an individual part or a component? It requires software to be able to dictate and the logic around what's the right sequence of what to do now and then what to do next. So the software has gotten really more advanced, more complicated, because it's the introduction of kind of machines to software has changed significantly in the last 5 or 10 years.
So how are you, I guess, navigating the complexity of all of these different solutions across all of these different verticals, how they're all talking to each other, even like the data hygiene perspective? Feels like a lot of moving parts.
It's not easy to evaluate. I mean, if you look at like kind of our rules of thumb around evaluating technology and why people maybe make the wrong decisions or you don't get enough value out of the technology, is making sure you have internal alignment around what is the main business problem we're trying to solve for, right? You can go really, really wide, but if you're not solving for a discrete problem, maybe it's productivity in a warehouse, maybe it's improved delivery from a transportation standpoint, maybe it's improving our uptime around maintaining trucks. What is that discrete problem you're trying to solve for, number one? Number two is making sure you have the right business sponsorship, the right change management. Are we ready to be able to adopt that technology to drive the value? There's a big adoption and business readiness aspect of it because it's not all the software, right? It comes down
Change management.
Change management and how you manage the system. It may require you to change your process, right? What I'd say with the software now, though, it's far more flexible, right? It used to be, 20 years ago when I was doing consulting, you'd have a giant ERP system like SAP, Oracle, and it would take years to implement. It'd be like a top-down decision. But now the software's gotten way more flexible, more adaptive. The methodologies around software development are way better. It's all agile, which is more smaller, incremental type of build, test, fail, build, test, fail. So it pulls the business into the process a little bit better. But I think the change ready, and your point on the change readiness, it's data too. And especially with all these technologies, if you don't understand the data source, the cleansing of the data, normalizing the data, and everybody thinks you need this giant data warehouse. With the technology now, you don't need a mammoth data warehouse. You have data lakes, you have data repositories, but investing in data analytics, we made a decision about 10 years ago to have our own data analytics team. We have close to about 90 people on my team right now, and they spend a lot of time standardizing the data. So if we have new technology we're deploying, we know what the data looks like and how to utilize that data. And they automate the data extraction, cleaning process, but then it's down to the business to maintain it operationally. So if I'm my trucking division or transport, the operators have to maintain it.
Oh, interesting.
Right? Because they're the ones using it every day.
Right.
But the data engineers behind it will create it, structure it, and make sure it's automated behind the scenes. Because at the end of the day, whatever software you pick, you still own the data. I don't care if it's a TMS, WMS, or some optimization software. If you don't invest in structuring and normalizing the data, you're not going to get the value out of the technology. So,
How do you avoid, I guess, sort of the data overload? How do you know what's important to look at when you have all of these different tools talking to each other? And what are those KPIs? Look, and I imagine they're different for each division, but how do you kind of orchestrate it all together?
It's not easy. I mean, the KPIs vary based on if it's a warehouse operation, transport, trucking, or fleet side of it. But you need to have people that are very close to the business to understand. If I look at a data field and it says a carrier code, and I call it something different in one division over the other, understanding what that means in the business is critical, right? Just to have a data team separated from the business, you tend to kind of lose that intimate knowledge. So knowing the business is key. And then starting small. You got to start, you can have a big vision, but if you try to tackle it all at once, it's typically going to fail because it's too much for the business. So take a discrete problem, work on it, build the data around it, prove it out, and then grow from there.
As we're talking about all these different sort of, it's like an octopus with all these different tentacles and all these different modes and technologies and advancements, but then you add AI on top of that, and it almost feels like we're in a whole new world.
Yeah.
So how are you navigating what is, I guess, maybe snake oil salesmen versus like real movers?
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly, well, first off, AI's been around for a long time.
Right.
We've been doing AI. It's been more classification versus agentic AI. Think about like machine learning models. Think about natural language processing. That's been around for a while, and we've been doing it. It's the agentic AI, whether it's ChatGPT or what have you, Copilot. That's new. It's the agent thinking side of it. It's not easy. Again, there's so many different startups out there, and even the legacy software companies, now it's all AI. And I'm like, we've been doing AI for a long time. But I think the cool thing with AI is that it really does drive productivity. It truly does. If I look at how we're using AI, number one, we get alignment around the vision and the strategy, because everybody thinks AI can solve every single problem, and it can solve a lot. But the first thing we did when agentic AI came around was we wanted to align around a vision. What are the key business imperatives we're going to focus on? So pick a few different, I'll say functional areas to target, and then discreetly look at how we're managing that business today to confirm that there's enough value to deliver any AI. We're using AI in our development activity. So if I look at my data analytics team, we'll use Copilot. We're a Microsoft shop. We'll use Copilot to actually do the development and coding. Now, it'll do it, it'll run the script, but then somebody needs to look at it and then validate it, right? So it's saving time from our full stack developers from taking the first few passes on, coding, as an example. We're using it in our transportation business on any type of call center. That's like an easy button. Anytime you have like people on a phone, manning a phone, that's like the easy button. And there's a lot of companies that are out there that do it. We use one called Happy Robot that we invested in, but there's a lot of them out there. But it was really a discrete problem we were trying to solve for. It was like basically facilitating call center activity so people can find out where their shipment is and when it's going to deliver. And when you get on the phone with a Happy Robot, you can't tell if it's AI or a person. I mean,
it's very impressive.
It is very impressive. But no, it's hard to navigate it. Again, it's coming down to what are you prioritizing in the business. So in our supply chain business, we said number one is operational planning. Because while we're increasing the amount of robots and machines we have out there, we have a lot of people. We have a lot of labor. And it's hard to hire these people, right? So our first focus in the operational planning bucket was around warehouse labor planning. And can we get better at forecasting? And so that's what we're working on now in the warehouse as an example. In the dedicated trucking side of it, we're building out agents to look at fueling decisions. What's the best route? Where should I fuel based on the cost of the fuel? How do I do my routing, which is more like optimization logic. And then like anything with a document, right? I mean, it's kind of the easier stuff, but you think about most corporations have thousands and thousands of documents, and they're all over the place. They're in different repositories. We use Teams, SharePoint. It's on people's laptops. So one of the first things we're doing is how do we use AI to basically look across all these documents, normalize it. If I want to extract and look up something, say I got customer ABC and I'm looking for shipment 123, AI can extract that out of a document or system to serve that back up. But it just comes down to what are you trying to, again, solve for. It's harder than people realize though, because it's pretty daunting.
So when you come to a show like this, what kind of technology are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, it's anything around automation in general, including AI. I mean, it's
with both of those things being around for so long, there's still, I guess, improvements to be made?
Well, no, I mean, AI's been around a long time, but no, the agentic AI is new, right? I mean, that wasn't around until we basically had all of the, ChatGPT and so forth that was out there. Now there's a million companies that are popping up. So to your point, we're out here researching, we're meeting with a lot of them. But again, it's going to be focused on what am I looking for, right? Is it a warehouse solution, right?
So you're going in problem aware.
We're going in with a discrete list of problems because, to your point, it's too much, right? And then you meet with these companies, we do it all. I'm like, okay, that's great. But show me exactly where you've deployed it. And not only where you've deployed it, I want to actually see it, if I can see it physically. If not, I want to talk to customers that are using it today to get proof that it actually really, really works. And most of them will do pilots and all that kind of stuff. The other thing is on the warehouse automation, it is new. I mean, it's newer. I mean, probably the last 8 years, warehouse automation has taken off. Agentic AI is really the last few years. So it's mostly physical warehouse automation or agentic AI are the two areas that we're doing a lot of research around.
Has there been any tech that Ryder has adopted in the last handful of years that's been your favorite?
Oh boy, I don't know.
It's like picking a favorite child.
Favorite, yeah, I don't, no, I mean, on the AI side, we're still early into agentic AI. Like Happy Robot's really cool. So the AI side, it's still pretty new. And we're also evaluating, do we build versus buy? Because it's not too complicated to build out an AI agent.
Right.
What's hard is how do you connect it all, the workflow,
and manage them, and
and the data underneath it, and then changing the process. Because if an agentic AI will make a decision, somebody's got to evaluate it. It could make a decision for me. Let's say I'm a transportation planner. It can come up with, hey, what's the best route to run? But then somebody has to look and then validate. And so there's AI side still early on. The warehouse automation, I think the humanoids are really cool. It's still very early. It's not mature yet. It's in a lab.
Where are you seeing, I guess, maybe the wins in humanoids?
The wins in humanoids are not there yet. The wins in humanoids are like if you have one that serves you a drink in your house.
Like a Roomba or, one very specific task.
The Roomba is a great example because a Roomba is an autonomous robot. And those are now, I won't say a commodity, but those serve a really, really good purpose. It started with Kiva back in 2012 when Amazon bought Kiva. These are the Roombas, but they're in a warehouse. Right?
Oh.
And they either go to you as a worker, they'll bring you stuff to pick from, or they follow you through a warehouse. So as I pick, you pick and put it into a cart. Those things have a great business case. Most of them are a rental model. So we have about 2,000 autonomous robots in our warehouse right now. They're the little, small ones. Great business case. The business case is usually less than a year, payback's there. They cost about $7,000 a year. They're not super expensive. What's next behind that is autonomous fork trucks. So those are becoming far more flexible, but they cost like $250,000, $300,000. So they're not super cheap. And then after that are the big storage retrieval systems. that will take cases and pallets to basically improve the density of a warehouse. And then the last thing's humanoids. Those are a little further out. So there's cool stuff out there.
It sounds,
really cool stuff.
I mean, too, I guess, how we kind of started this conversation was that it feels like there's so much and there's so much to navigate through.
Yeah.
But Ryder is out here, quietly a giant in this regard of adopting these newer technologies and piloting them. Has there been any surprising use cases that have come out of these enhancements?
I don't know about surprising. I think the opportunity is, again, making sure we're picking the right technology for the use case, making sure we're partnering with the right company to invest in our people to make the right decisions. And then as a 3PL, we're going to partner with a lot of different companies, but owning the data, owning the modeling, understanding the value prop, and then not underestimating the amount of effort to deploy this stuff, right? Because it's not, you don't flip the switch and, and it's product thinking. You develop capabilities, you deploy, but then it's the ongoing support to make sure you get enough value, to make sure it works, and then technology changes, so you're never really done. It used to be like, I think of it as a project, and I'll implement this stuff, and then we'll go on to the next, but it's more of a product mindset that you're never done, and then there's going to be enhancements. So yeah, you got to continue to invest, either both internally with your people, and then certainly with key partners as well.
Over your career, what's been your favorite piece of tech that you've seen come into the landscape?
Well, lately it's been the humanoids. But I'd say in general, it would be supply chain optimization software. It's not like the execution software, right? Because it's proven, it's great stuff, but like a warehouse management system or a transportation management system, they're good. But to me, it's how do you continually optimize your transportation, your warehousing, your network, your inventory. And what's happening now, it used to be you would optimize a discrete warehouse and say, I need 10 warehouses. Or I would go and optimize transportation, or I'd optimize information inside my 4 walls. And now the software is getting far better, where how can I blend all these flows, inventory, people. And now what's happening is this convergence of physical machines to optimize physical machines with inventory data and all that. Because where it's shifting is the reliance on manual labor is decreasing, right? And will we have a warehouse that is 100% lights out? We're kind of moving down that path. We don't have like a pure lights out warehouse because our business is so diverse. But where it's heading, especially with automation and humanoids, is it's getting to that point where we're going to have people fixing machines and less people operating the machines. And that's where it's heading. I can't tell if it's 10 years from now, 5-10 years, but it's heading there pretty quickly.
Well, I had a guest on earlier in Gather AI who does, the inventory, it scans, and they have different, software that helps, with the warehouse inventory counts and vision. And I asked him, do you foresee an opportunity where there's a one-person warehouse? But you're talking about there's lights-out warehouses. So it sounds like that future is within our grasp.
I think it is. It is. Whether it's 100% lights out or not, what's happening is manual labor is getting automated. Whether it's a warehouse, whether it's transportation. It's harder on the transportation because to fully get into autonomous trucking, it's just way more complicated. I mean, eventually we'll get there.
Right. There's a lot of variables with
There's
autonomous.
a lot of variables, but like when you're automating inside the confines of your own warehouse, one, safety's not as big of a concern, the risk is less. But yeah, that's where we're going. I mean, when humanoids can get down to the point where they move as fast as a human, because they're a lot slower. Most of this automation is like half the speed of a human, or half the speed of like a forklift.
I would have thought the opposite.
No, well, eventually it's going to catch up, but it's mostly safety protocols. It's mostly safety related, right? Like an autonomous forklift in a warehouse goes about half the speed, like a battery.
That makes sense.
Because of the safety concerns.
Right.
Because you're still mixing people with machines. around a forklift, but eventually it's going to get closer and closer. So.
Now, I want to stay on the humanoid part for a minute because from what I understand, it's very difficult to get hands correctly with a humanoid robot. That's one very strong advantage of humans is that the opposable thumb and our hands
we don't
pressure
realize
points.
The dexterity,
What other maybe fascinating aspects of adopting humanoids or maybe challenges exist right now?
Well, the biggest challenge is you just can't launch a humanoid and have it operate without somebody watching it. So when you're launching, you have wranglers, basically. So it's like I deploy a humanoid, and that's going to take a few years. It's kind of like the safety protocol, putting a safety driver into an autonomous truck. It's going to take cycles. So there's two components. It's the dexterity of the hands. It's advancing pretty quickly, and there's a lot of videos out there. The other is feet and balance and leg, right? Because we can run, we can jump, right? We can hop. So I don't know if you've seen like Boston Dynamics, humanoids, and even, Spot is a little dog, and they're jumping all over the place. But it's going to continue to advance where it's going to replicate what we can do, but we still can do it way faster because it takes, repetition around memory, remembering what happened. So you're training a machine. So you're going to train a machine for a long, long time. So
it sounds like your job is super fun, where you can analyze all of these things to make these micro improvements, but these micro improvements and advancements impact the bottom line
100%.
And help streamline optimization and get things to you a little bit faster.
Yeah. I mean, technology in general, if it's not improving the bottom line or improving our customer service and how we work with our customers, then don't do it. Right? I mean, for us, for my team especially, it's got to have a proven business case and value. And it has to be hard savings, right? Validated internally, validated with our customer. But yeah, no, it's fun. It's
so
fun
no
space.
weak demos.
No, demos are okay, but prove it to me and I want to see it. It's good for demos and piloting to learn because it does take time. So, but yeah, it's a fun space.
Well, Gary, anything else that you feel is important to mention that we haven't already talked about?
I think we covered a lot, so I'm good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you
Take
too.
care.